let's look at what you can put in the opening or the start of your presentation, right? So an impactful introduction and opening is where you introduce yourself and your organization, and especially to audiences that may not know you. Even if you're doing an internal presentation for that matter to an audience that doesn't know you, you may not have to introduce your organization, but it's always a good thing to introduce yourself to people that you don't know. The main point of introducing yourself and your organization well during a presentation is to build credibility, okay, in the eyes of the audience, right? You want to come across as a figure of authority on that subject. So anything that is going to help you build credibility, build authority, that's something that you need to do, right? So for example, I'll give you my own example. When I am often called to give a talk, or often when I have to do, say, a 2-day workshop, 3-day workshop with people, when I'm with a bunch of often very, very senior people, I always start with my introduction. And I make it a very visual introduction. I could probably show you that in storytelling, right? If you signed up for that class, an advanced presentation class on storytelling, I will share, those, how I do it, how I make it visual. So that is something that I do. I make a little bit of fun of myself in my introduction, so I crack a few jokes on myself as well, because then my introduction ends with me kind of building credibility, where I talk about all my achievements till date, all the media features that I've had, all the articles that I've written, all the kind of prestigious places that I've gone and spoken at. So I'll always talk about that right at the start of my presentation, because I want to build credibility and in the eyes of the audience, right? If they're going to be listening to me teach them on the subject of leadership or managing change or communication, they need to know who's teaching them. And me, when I build that credibility right at the start, they know I'm a figure of authority, and then they tend to listen to me way better than they would if I didn't introduce myself in that fashion to them, right? So that's the kind of point of doing it. And of course, if somebody doesn't know the organization that you belong to, it makes a lot of sense for you to introduce yourself and your organization again in a way where you're building credibility and authority, because you want them to listen to you, and that's not going to happen unless that authority is built, right? So then you do some kind of a, set the context of what you're going to talk about, and then use some attention grabbers is what you can do right at the start of your presentation, right? um, while presenting in front of an audience that doesn't know you, it's important to introduce yourself and your organization. This helps to build an immediate relationship between you and your audience. It also lets you briefly clarify your expertise and position. This is something that we just spoke about. Include a concise slide that highlights some key points about you and the company that you're representing, right? So put it up there on the slide for people to see it. And this is something which is very important. Do not feel shy about talking about yourself or your organization at this stage. A lot of y'all may feel shy or feel like y'all are tom-tomming about yourself. And is that an appropriate thing to do? Yes, when you're talking to one to many people and they don't know you, that is extremely important for you to do, so that they take the contents of your presentation more seriously. You're not doing it because you like talking about yourself. You're doing it so that the objective that you have of that presentation is met. Okay, now set the context. What can you do in setting the context in the introduction? Introduce the topic and explain it briefly. State your presentation purpose, objective, and provide a statement of what you're hoping the outcome of the presentation will be, right? So this is something that we've spoken about. Outline what you will be talking about. More formal presentations or trainings, you can also introduce an agenda slide. So let me just speak about this very